Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Well, a few weeks back I did a video about the new Sigma 20 to 200 millimeter L-mount lens, which I bought, and I also bought a used S5 Mark II body from MPB to use it on, and I use that generally for photojournalism. And I'm finding it to be a really good combination. Not the point of this video though, but somebody made a comment about, when you buy something, like you buy a camera and then a little while later either they upgrade, you get the the next Mark II, 3, whatever it is, comes out when you've bought the previous version, or you buy a new lens and then something else comes out. So I made a comment about that. Essentially, and that probably happened to several folks when this lens came out. I was like, oh, I could have gotten this lens. Had a similar thing happen, except in reverse. If you followed the channel for any amount of time, you know that I used to have the Lumix LX100 Mark II, and I also had a Lumix ZS 200. Both of those cameras, they're compact cameras with a fixed lens, and both of those cameras ended up getting dust on the sensor, which is kind of a pain in the butt because it's really hard to get the dust off. There's a vacuum method where you take a 16-ounce plastic soda pop bottle and attach that to, cut the bottom off, attach that to a vacuum cleaner, put it over the lens while the camera's turned on, and try to suck the dust out. Doesn't always work. Got some of the dust off of those, but not everything. So I ended up selling them. However, now Adobe has added AI, artificial intelligence, dust removal to Adobe Lightroom. I'm guessing maybe they've added it to Photoshop too, although I don't use Photoshop a whole lot. So of course, if you have a compact camera that has dust on the sensor, this is kind of a big deal because it's actually very, very quick. And so put up an image here. There's a screen grab of the panel. It's in the healing panel. And it's down towards the bottom. And you can also remove reflections. I haven't tried that yet. So, if you forgot your polarizer and you're taking a shot through a window, you can actually remove reflections. Like I said, I haven't tried it yet. I would imagine if you got a really bad reflection, I don't know, maybe that might be tough for it, but I'll have to try it and get back to y'all. You can also remove people, which might be important for a landscape image. You get a nice landscape and there's some people in it. You can get rid of those, although I find removing people fairly easy, the old-fashioned way. So what I did was I took one of the images where I shot one of the final images I shot with the LX100. It's kind of a throwaway image, but it's the one where I noticed dust in the skies. And I'll put this up here. What happens is when you hit apply, it actually circles all the dust. And you can add, if it misses, and it might miss a few, I think on this image I may have missed one, you can add a spot to get rid of that dust. So it makes things a lot easier because it's going to get 99% of the dust, but you do need to check your work. Previously, what I used to do when looking for dust in skies was take the dehaze slider and slide it up towards maximum. And it really, increases the contrast, and it makes dust in a sky stand out, so it's easy to see and get rid of. And then, of course, you can turn that slider back down when you're done with that. But this really does, this new AI tool, and makes a big difference, I think. And also, it's one of the areas where I think AI is appropriate. I have a real problem with this AI, this generative AI videos, because now there's just all kinds of that crap on YouTube. Just and it's actually messing with our history. My father was a World War II veteran, so sometimes I watch videos on World War II, and boy, these YouTubers, they're putting these AI images up of World War II, and some of them are just kind of ridiculous if you know anything about World War II. So, but that's maybe a topic for a whole nother video. But I think this is a use for AI that's, makes your life that much easier. Anything to help you as a photographer, I think, is fine. Now, of course, people also who follow the channel know that I replaced those cameras with a used Lumix GX9, which I've really come to enjoy. and just a great little camera to have with you. And I actually like the fact that it has a flip out LCD over the two compacts that I had, which were fixed. This makes things a lot easier if you're doing street photography. You know, you can have this tilted out a little bit, and when you're walking along and just kind of really quickly take shots. So yeah, really like this little pancake 12 to 32 millimeter zoom, which of course is a 24 to 64 millimeter full frame equivalent. Sharp, contrasty. Probably going to do a whole new video on this lens, so stay tuned for that. It's unobtrusive. Again, for street photography, this is great. You know, I've been thinking about going out doing street photography with the S5 Mark II and the 20 to 200 millimeter Sigma. You know, to me, these big cameras are just, they kind of get in the way when you're doing street photography. Anyway, I hope this was very useful to people. You know, again, if you have a compact camera, because my feeling about compacts is probably a fair number of them are going to get dust on them at some point in their lifetime. I mean, I had an early a Canon PowerShot G2 get a piece of dust like smack dab in the middle of the frame. It was kind of annoying. So yeah, if you've got that, and if you've got one of these things, this is a very useful tool. And I would imagine that other software manufacturers are going to start including that in their software. So if you're not an Adobe Lightroom person, or you don't like Adobe's subscription model, I'm sure there are other alternatives coming. So anyway, if this was useful to you, pop that like button. Any questions, comments, leave them down below. I'll get to those as soon as I can. I'm Todd Banner. I will see you next time.